Imagine, there's a place that humanity has been seeing for thousands of years, a small red dot in the night sky, a planet that was called both the god of war, a symbol of the end, and a hope for a new beginning. Mars. And today, it is no longer just an object of observation, it is a potential second home. But why do we even strive to go there? Why does humanity, which still has not learned to live in harmony on its own planet, want to escape to another? This is a story not only about technology, this is a story about fear, about survival, and about ambitions that can change everything. An innate instinct for expansion. Humans have never stayed in one place, from the first steps out of Africa to oceans, mountains, continents. We have always moved forward, and now the ocean has been replaced by space. Mars is the next logical step. Fear of Earth's destruction. There is another reason, much darker. Earth is not eternal. Climate change, nuclear threat, asteroids, overpopulation, ecological collapse. Perhaps it is not a question of if, but a question of when. Mars is an insurance policy for humanity, a second chance, scientific interest in the thirst for knowledge. Mars was once different. There is evidence, riverbeds, ice caps, and traces of water. This means that once it could have been similar to Earth. And the main question, did life exist there? Even microbial? And if so, we are no longer alone in the universe. The economy of the future. Mars is also resources, minerals, water in the form of ice, potential fuel, and new technologies. The colonization of space could become a new economic era. What Mars is really like. Mars is often called a second Earth, but this is one of the biggest illusions in space science. Yes, it has terrain similar to Earth, mountains, valleys, canyons, but behind these forms lies a world that has almost completely lost the ability to support life. The atmosphere of Mars consists of approximately 95% carbon dioxide. There is so little oxygen that a human would not be able to take even a single normal breath. But the problem is not only in the composition. The pressure on the surface of Mars is 160 to 170 times lower than on Earth. This means that water cannot exist in liquid form there for long. It either freezes or instantly evaporates. In fact, Mars is a planet where air performs almost no function. The temperature on Mars is unstable and changes sharply. Near the equator during the day, it can be about plus 20 degrees Celsius, and at night it drops to minus 80 degrees Celsius and lower. Near the poles, down to minus 120 degrees Celsius. The reason is the thin atmosphere, which does not retain heat. There's no weather here in the earthly sense. There are only different levels of cold. On Earth, we are protected by a magnetic field and a dense atmosphere. On Mars, this is almost absent. This means constant exposure to cosmic rays, solar radiation, charged particles. For humans, this is not an immediate threat, but a long-term one. Cell damage, increased risk of cancer, effects on the nervous system. That is why future colonies will have to be built underground or under thick, protective layers. One of the most important discoveries of recent decades is that there is water on Mars, but not in the form of oceans or rivers. It exists as ice beneath the surface, in polar caps, and possibly in salty underground reservoirs. This is a key resource without which colonization is impossible. Because water on Mars is not only for drinking, it is oxygen through electrolysis, hydrogen, fuel, and the basis for food. Mars is known for giant dust storms that can cover the entire planet, last for weeks or months, and block sunlight. This is not just bad weather. It is a phenomenon that can shut down the energy systems of future bases. The path to Mars. One of the most complex journeys. Traveling to Mars is not just a distant flight, it is an engineering and psychological operation lasting months. Orbital logic. Why we cannot fly whenever we want. Earth and Mars move around the Sun at different speeds. Therefore, the best launch window opens only once every 26 months. This means the wrong moment equals hundreds of millions of extra kilometers or even the impossibility of the mission. Space does not allow improvisation. Duration of the flight. Modern calculations show a flight to Mars takes 6 to 9 months. This depends on trajectory, rocket power, and spacecraft mass. During this time, the crew lives in complete isolation from Earth. Microgravity problems. In space, there is no usual gravitational load. The consequences, muscle atrophy, decreased bone density, changes in blood circulation, and deterioration of vision. That is why astronauts train every day just to maintain the ability to walk after landing. Psychological factor. The least predictable risk is the human psyche. During the flight, there is no possibility to return. There is no physical contact with Earth, and there is a communication delay of up to 20 minutes. This creates a feeling of complete isolation. That is why future crews undergo years of psychological preparation. A colony on Mars, how it could work. The colonization of Mars will not begin with cities, it will begin with survival. First habitation modules. The initial settlements will be hermetic, small, and fully autonomous. They will protect from vacuum, radiation, and temperature fluctuations. Most likely, part of the bases will be underground, in lava tubes or excavated structures. Energy on Mars will be a limited resource. The main sources, solar panels and small-scale nuclear reactors. Without stable energy, it is impossible to maintain heat, purify water, or produce oxygen. Food and agriculture without soil. Martian soil is toxic due to perchlorates. Therefore, food will have to be grown in hydroponic systems, in closed greenhouses under artificial light. This will be a fully controlled ecosystem. A closed life cycle. In the colony, everything must be recycled. Water, air, waste. This will be a system where almost nothing is lost. Is Mars our future? The colonization of Mars is not only a technical task, it is a question of the direction of civilization's development. Expansion or escape. There are two interpretations. We are expanding the boundaries of life, or we are escaping Earth's problems, and both are partly true. The ethical question: do we have the right to change another planet? Even if it is dead, it is part of the solar system, and every intervention is an irreversible step. The main discovery of colonization, perhaps the greatest discovery of Mars, will not be about the planet itself, but about us. About how we survive in extreme conditions, how we build a society from scratch, and whether we can avoid repeating our own mistakes. Mars does not give answers, it asks questions. And the most important of them sounds simple. If we are capable of living on another planet, have we learned to live on our own?